I'm just about
Good morning.
to say good morning. Just about to tell one of my dogs to shut up. I'm thinking it, and it seems to
They're excited.
mind. Yeah.
They're excited
Well,
about
the
today.
sun is shining. Yeah, look at it. I've actually had
The
to put
sun.
blinds down so I'm not blinded by the sun. It's a rather remarkable thing, and it's not even cold. It's actually spring-like here.
My goodness. I would say it's sunny here, but it's always sunny here. So
Yeah.
there's no
Anyway.
difference. So today I thought we would do a bit of show and tell creation, which I've purposely not practiced to show the kind of the pros, the cons, the ugly side of it, and how long it takes if you're just doing it completely off the bat. So last week you converted the water data into the CSV and then was able to do all the analytics on it. But I wondered if we could use the ChatGPTs of the world to turn that CSV into a children's storybook about rivers.
Well, I would be fascinated to see.
So let's see. So this is good old ChatGPT. This is the spreadsheet that you had. So I'm going to put this is some data on water.
You're much faster typing than me. So.
So we do that, and then it'll go off and obviously do its analyzing and whatever it'll do. And then off the back of that, we'll need to generate kind of like children's books don't tend to have a lot of text, but they obviously do have some. So if we can let it do its thing, and then as that's going, we can say, can you generate a script for a children's book? Talks about state of UK rivers and sewerage. That's what kids want to read. And highlight key locations that have issues and those that are good to, for example, swimming.
The Taylor Plain Water, very nice. Freddy Fish.
Daisy Duck, classic.
I'm presuming this is just
Presuming what, sorry?
I'm presuming this is sort of just more general rather than having looked at that data. Or...
I don't know. Oh, look, it's got River Mersey, River Avon.
Well, we know that's not that. So the data is in the Thames Valley, so the Avon and Mersey wouldn't turn up in it. But
is there something called Mersey in it? Is there a river?
No.
Okay, so maybe it is more generic. Here we go. We go. Once murky, troubled, now the Thames flows with pride. So like you said, very generic. Let's say, okay, can we be more specific in the referencing of rivers that have then obviously I'll do the same again. Obviously, it probably doesn't want to make kids feel too bad about their rivers. What the River Wye? Maybe
Well,
it's just come to the conclusion that there's no river inside of Thames Water's area that you want to swim in.
River Thames suffering much the same. So the River Wye again is on the. I mean, it's interesting. It's found the River Wye and talked about the River Wye because again, that's on the kind of it's not in great health list. But again,
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure would
From
be
the
covered.
data.
So it's kind of interesting the rivers it's picked up on. I'm wondering if
Maybe
we had.
that's from its knowledge, its general
Yeah,
knowledge.
exactly. So I think it's still. I think you may have to just tell it to go look at the spreadsheet and a bit more directly. So,
but I guess also the current spreadsheet doesn't include
wow, look
the
at this.
discharge times necessarily.
So what it would do is it would have the discharge times. It would have
You would have
discharge.
to work out duration.
Yeah,
Because like we had to do this the things.
it's interesting. So yeah, right, okay.
Okay, so potentially we need to analyze the data more so. So if we do this, then so if I put this into here and I say and then we want to be able to ask it. Actually, if I open it, I can probably see. Okay, so if we can get a list the top 5 discharges using the now obviously now it'll analyze, it'll try and come up with the code to work this out, and then it may or may not.
So it's interesting. I mean, going back to that, when it says analyzing, what I hadn't realized, which you said in the last one, is it's actually writing code to go off and
there you go.
Yeah,
if you expand it, you can see it.
It's fascinating. $50 days. Wow.
Okay, so now if we said maybe not the whole story, but write me an outline of a children's story using this data and these findings about the kid and water sewage, the Thames area, and see if it picks out that Stanley because the Sammy the Swan,
Felix the fish.
the
Okay.
fish, Toby the toad.
He loves alliteration, which is great.
There we go.
Alliteration.
Stanley Lake and Winterboro. Yeah, so now it's able to. Now it has the context in this context window. Meets Wendy the Wise Otter as well, obviously. Okay.
But I think in fairness to the I mean, it is like we all need a bit of direction in terms of like data, you know. So it's actually it's following a path which I think is really interesting. So, you know, I
Yeah, it's
don't
no different than we would.
no, exactly. I don't blame it for the first time around, not referencing the data set particularly. But I
No.
found it fascinating how this is great.
Give me the script for the book. Target 9 years old. Make it under 10 pages. There you go. Now it's got makes a nice little reference there to Sand Lake. So again, I wonder because obviously it doesn't. So the data that we've uploaded doesn't tell you like what's a good river. It just tells you what's not a bad river with regards to sewerage. But we do have access to the internet. So I wonder if you could then just go, what are the 5 cleanest rivers in the UK to swim in? I'll jump to Bing. Okay. So this is where you definitely have to. This is where this is the back and forth, isn't it? Because again, now you've got these references to these, but now we've lost the references to the stuff in the data.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Isn't as clear. So then because also the thing that people aren't aware, like once this goes through this process and we get to the story, once we get to that kind of thing, we can then ask it like what prompt would have got us here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So I've done it many times when I've just been iterating, and then I'm like, right, how would I ask this again? Because then if I want to store that prompt for reuse, then it gives me, it gives me that just kind of much more tighter to get to that same conclusion. but it still lost it. So you see, but it's lost the data. You missed referencing the insights from the uploaded. Now, this could also be like a context window thing. And as you can see, I'm on purpose not really writing this well to show the its ability to kind of make them corrections. Okay, see now we're getting, we're getting that reference now, which is good. But I think that's the thing. I think it's just like it's the same way that if you're just talking to someone, you just got to kind of wheel it out. The key with this though is you're able to, though it's frustrating, I think, for people, and I think this is the issue people get with talking to these. They're like, oh well, it hasn't figured it all out. You're not having to do any of this in code, right? Like you can just have a conversation, and that's the win. And the unfortunate downside to that is then you have to just go backwards and forwards a bit. Like if you were someone who is a professional children's book writer, like this stuff's just going to like ping into your head straight away. And if you want to be able to do what we're doing, then you have to, you're got to massage the information to kind of get it to do what you want. But to me, that's pretty good.
I mean, honestly, in 15, it sort of feels a bit frustrating, but in 15 minutes, we've kind of got to somewhere which I think is good and based on the data.
Yeah.
But equally, this is part of a creative process. I mean, a creative process is a lot about back and forth. I know, that's what I'm finding. Like when I use,
definitely,
it sort of helps me kind of think stuff through. So fascinating. So we've now got.
So now we've got a story.
Yeah.
So now, and we've got like what text is going to go on the page. So now we need some images, right? So we can say for each page, give me a image prompt that describes scene, and as this is a children's book, we want the sketches, the images to be more sketch design, like we'll pick Winnie the Pooh since it's out of copyright. So now what it should do is now generate us, or just go ahead and just give us the image. So I'm going to stop that because it's going to get confused. Let's do this again. Say for page 1. I've noticed this since they've merged. They added DALL-E, which is their image generation tool. They added that into that was like a separate part of ChatGPT, so you had to go to it to generate an image. You couldn't generate images in the conversation thread. And what I found is since they've added it into the conversation thread, if you use the word image in your description, it will just try and make an image, even if that's not what you're trying to reference. So you have to be a bit more specific on, give me an image prompt to do it. So now I can take this prompt and I could just say turn this prompt in, but for purposes, I'm just going to say create an image based on this prompt.
But I mean, equally, like you don't have to do it. You could then put that prompt into Midjourney or.
This is what we'll do in a second.
Sorry.
Jumping ahead, giving away the But to compare the two. So this is going to come back now, and be interested to see if it's enforced some of the styles. Oh, that is children's book
Heaven.
Yeah. Okay, so now give me the image prompts. Image prompt for page 2 that matches the same style as page 1. Nice.
Wow.
This is quite good. So as this is happening, so now if we scroll back up a sec and we go, so here's page 1. So we grab our text, and then I've also here got this is Canva, great tool. This will be our front cover, so we'll just keep that safe front cover for the moment. Add a page. I will put our text in, and obviously some kind of handwriting text. Make it like 24, 32. Now, we should now be able to then go. So every even, it'll probably go the other way, but just for ease, every odd page will make to be the image. Let's pin this up for a second. So then we can go into here. We grab our image. Drop that in there. Then we add the next page, we add the next page, we add the next page. So we'll put our text on that one. We'll drop our image in there. We'll grab that for reference. So it's got a little bit of a, and I think this is where the human piece comes in, right? Like you could probably get it to generate Canva's got some built-in stuff to generate this type of thing. But I think this is where the fun, this is the bit where, you could do this with your kids. And it would be quite a fun task, and we would go on and create other pages, and then once we kind of get to the end, we'd probably then go, okay, what was the book called? Okay, cover for the book. So I'll start doing that. We'll go onto here. We'll put in our title. Not very eligible. Oh, there we go. It's even done not with the best spelling, but it's actually done the cover. Because we said cover of the book, so we don't even need to put that in. So we can go like that. and then take that off to there. I wonder if we say the image text is THIA.
That's it. It's interesting.
I don't think I'll do it, but
Well, it's interesting because it's getting better at spelling. Like that's the best I've seen.
yeah. I do wonder if I grab if we actually give me the prompt. Cover. Finish. I see it's getting better. I prefer that cover personally, but a bit more dystopian. Oh, I hit my cap. Let's use the default mode. So now, if I... Oh, that's interesting. You see how it's put in there? Ensure the correct spelling of Thames. That's quite cool. Now, for anyone who's not familiar, there's another image thing called Midjourney. To access it currently, though it's going to change soon, you have to use a product called Discord, which is like Microsoft Teams or Slack for under 25-year-olds. It's very confusing. But it works similar, but the imagery that comes out of it is noticeably better. So we might be able to put in our prompt on this and get something interesting. The fading in, I think, makes it worse. It's more kind of building the tension.
Yeah. God, there's Donald Duck.
See, like its texting is not as great, but as you can see, the imagery is a bit better. Again, personal preference, I imagine. They're both pretty good. I think it just comes down to, with any of these stuff, or like I've done, you hit the limit of how much you can use it. But if we repeated that process a few more times, like you said, it's been 28 minutes since we started this call. First 15 minutes were just like faffing about a bit to get it all kind of there. But I reckon another, if my allowance limit hadn't hit, I reckon another 10 minutes, we'd have a storybook completely finished, ready to print. Which actually,
can I just say on that image there, that one I'm looking at it. It is very AA Milne, and it's done a pretty amazing job. And I like the fact it's kind of it's done happy and sad in a pretty elegant way, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And actually, I hadn't really noticed, if we're going to super analyze, it's the same-ish location.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty, and it's like it's getting depressed and very depressed, basically.
Yeah. So that is how you create a children's storybook from CSV data from a Thames Water API through a
Thames
spreadsheet.
Water would be so pleased to know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to finish this off, and then I'll put a copy of the book in the video output when we publish this podcast, so they can see what the future generations will get to feel about the river quality of the UK.
I think that That would be. I mean, I know there's actually people who've been watching this who'd be fascinated to kind of see that this is the potential for output. So yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm off to a meeting actually on Monday with more people about more data. So we're going to have a lot more testing going up and down the River Thames. So it's exciting to be able to kind of show them this stuff and say, well, look, here's the sort of potential output that we could be using our data to kind of generate. So it's incredible.
So would you also therefore say that by giving people these kind of skills in using AI to better storytell, they can get their kind of their mission a lot more clearly?
Absolutely. I think it's look, I think people are very used to doing stuff, but they're not really good at articulating what the outcome is. And I think this is I was just chatting to someone this morning that actually generative AI's capabilities just mean that if you're in marketing or communications, you can absolutely 10x your output. I mean, I genuinely think that around storytelling communications, this tool is game changing in a way that it isn't so obvious in many other kind of bits of a business.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Dave, because as of next week, you'll be able to sign up to an AI mini course which is focused on environmental educators, completely free, which will teach you all of the key aspects of how to use AI to better storytell. What a coincidence.
Well, this is great.
So from next week, you'll be able to go to the Humanity website and then just sign up to the course, put your email address in, and then it should be ready in a few weeks' time. And it'll basically walk you through these different modules, focusing on, if we start from the beginning. So, framing of the world is very much like we said, like for us, obviously, sewerage and rivers is not positive, but how you frame this, I think, is important. If you want people to act with immediacy, then fear and negativity works in some capacity. But if you're looking for change over 10, 20, 30 years, then the framing becomes very important. Module 2 focuses very much on just, this is intended for non-technical people, non-engineer AI people, but having a fundamental kind of knowledge of just the concepts that you'll hear and that you'll hear around now in mainstream media, and just demystifying what that actually means for creating stuff, especially in the environmental space. And then module 3 is about, which is kind of like how we did in the last episode, how do you take data and how do you then use natural language to communicate with it, extract value and insight. And then module 4 is an extension of what we've done today, where we then start generating scripts or documents, images, like image prompts. And then we move on to, generating images through these different tools, which tools are great, special keywords for things like photorealism and the sketching side of things, and how you can then really create both unique imagery, but if you define a character, for example, you can then reference that character across different scenes and kind of move them across. Module 6 then goes into speech and sounds. You can use AI to generate music, to synthesize people's voices, translate for languages, and then generate the audio accordingly. And then in 7, we'll kind of put this all together into how to use what is a great tool, or a few great tools, for generating videos, the script, the pulling the audio in, image B-roll, as well as the kind of music timing and all the things that make into a great kind of trailer. And then for module 8, which is kind of how like in the last episode, how you were able to generate that Google map with the location pins on. Again, how can we use these tools to do things like that, or have the ability to grab someone else's code and then say, I want to change these things. I want the pins to be blue, not red, because I'm talking about water, for example. And then module 9 is a bit of a plug into the world of DKR, of how do you then take this stuff up into a whole new level where maybe a bit more technical skill is needed, like, being able to make video games off the back of this data, as well as just more interactive, maybe VR experiences. Again, ideally with no code though. And then we'll just finish up to kind of show the landscape of where AI is going, and what stuff's probably going to be coming over the hill in the next year that can equip these environmental educators into, trying to grab attention from people doing dance videos on TikTok.
It's great. Really, really good. There was a few things in there which I would really benefit from understanding and learning. But I think this is just fantastic. So looking forward to actually going through the course myself.
Excellent. Well, until next week or till next time, enjoy the story of the river tale of the Thames with our friends Daisy Duck and Thomas Toad and Freddie Frog and
Frog. Yeah. I love it. Cool. Excellent. Okay, thank you so much.
Until next time. Bye.